is right here, Mahi Mahi Resort. Very lockout heavy. Crab can definitely help with that.
Yeah, it can. We've got the Reef Slider from Tetras. You tend not to see Reef Slider cheese from Tetras. It's just not a weapon that you generally want to spend a lot of gear stacking a lot of special power up, which isn't necessarily required. You definitely don't need to do a slider cheese on zones. In fact, sometimes that can often backfire. So making sure to go in with that Reef Slider, you can put paint on zone, but also to make sure you're using it to do pretty consistent chip damage. Even if you don't get that lethal hit, you can get a nice blast of 70 damage on a bunch of players all around you, and then have the rest of your team clean up for you. So I wouldn't be surprised if either of our Dualies players on awk-taw-puh-dees end up pulling out those Dark Tetras.
For sure, for sure. And kind of going back to that double Tetras you were talking about, will we be seeing double Reef or maybe a Reef Zipcaster? Because remember, there are two different types of Tetra Dualies, and if they do double Reef, that is going to be really, really dangerous to push into, especially on a very, very flat map such as Mahi Mahi Resort. So much flat space to really work with, kind of just sliding across. You really have to look out if you're on around that here. So really lockout heavy style type map. So we'll just have to wait and see how it's executed here. You do see on your screen our top 4 from winner's bracket. I'm not sure if there's any on it, Rose, so far, kind of how this bracket has kind of turned out.
I believe Z tier was seeded lower than New Boys allowed, but honestly, they're both really strong teams. Prickly Pear, I know their players are really, really strong. And I also know that the players of Glub Glub would really, really enjoy to beat Prickly Pear, because several of the people playing on Prickly Pear have come over to things like Gridlock, which is Metro Inc.'s major tournament that they tend to run in the summer, and definitely beat us in our silly little exhibition Region Rumble match, and they want to bring it back and get that win for New York, take it back from the West Coast.
Yeah, specifically as well, it hurts a little bit of my soul to see Siku got kicked out, getting sweeped by Sunset Surge team. I'm sure that does not go well over to some, I know, in the H-Town server, but we move on. They will have they'll potentially have an underdog run there, but besides that, it's kind of like you mentioned, kind of everybody really, really close to each other in terms of competitiveness, in terms of skill level. Very, very even so far, but shifting away from that a little bit, focusing more a little bit on our match. Reminder, best of 5 throughout here, and this is the tournament life on the line for Chai Shoals in Awk, and on the side of No Boys Allowed for Booyah Bay.
Yeah, both teams are gonna make sure, if you get this first win on this Mahi Zones game, which again can be pretty snowballing. It could also go, you could get it all the way down to 1 for your team, and then you lose it right at the end because the other team gets a really strong hold and you can't break in. They take it back. So it's anybody's game for this first one, but you really want to make sure you get the first game win so you have that momentum. It's a best of 5. This is no, best of 9 Ludi style. He's best of 5. They can go really fast. You only have to get 3 wins as opposed to 5.
We're just constantly bringing up Ludi trauma, me and you, Rose. I mean, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. No, it's fine. It's fine. But, I mean, these teams probably infinitely better than we probably would be. I mean, like we've probably mentioned, a lot of Div 3, Div 2, Div 1, and even Div X teams here. A lot of very, very strong players, and kind of want to talk about as well the kind of endurance you have to have with this. I mean, teams shift from playing online back to playing on LAN in person with these players, and then all the way back to on line here, so a little bit of a difference of communication. I know some players might be more familiar or kind of feed off of the energy of the crowd in LANs here, but now switching over to a little bit of online, I'm sure that same energy is going to come from their respective fan bases, from their respective states, just a little bit different, of course, with chat here, but I'm sure strong passion throughout, strong camaraderie. I keep hammering it time and time and time again, but it's gonna be really, really evident here.
Yeah, and I know the Metro Inc. server is doing a watch party, and there are also several other watch parties and whatnot, even going on in local places. I have several friends who are actually organizing their own local watch parties and having people drive over and sort of like put it on a TV together. Do you know if the H-Town server is doing anything like that?
I'm pretty sure they are, yes. Shows the passion and the extent that players are gonna and people are just gonna go to just to be able to watch it. But yes, there is gonna be a watch party there, and it's wonderful to see. Like, I'm sure any one of these lands that we have featured today have their own local watch parties here to kind of cheer and support their teams from afar. But
yeah,
it's
there
awesome
is
to
something
see.
magical about being in that spot in person and hearing teams, or when the teams cheer so loud, you can hear them through your headset, through your game audio, and your own team like yelling comms and whatnot. You can hear them. It gets really, really exciting. I love experiencing it. You know, being on stage is terrifying and exhausting, but it is so fun when you hear the crowd just start screaming when you pop off and get a double or a triple. The energy is unmatched, but you know, at least you can go into this feeling good that you know there are plenty of people watching with this huge production put on by the SplatoonTourney staff. So I'm sure they still know in their heart that a lot of people are watching and cheering them on.
For sure. And that kind of energy, I don't know if this is seen at other lands, but at H-Town I noticed it was we got further and further into the winners bracket. At the beginning, the entire crowd, when loading into the game, would always scream, "Ready? Go!" Like right loading into the games here, just kind of living off that energy. And you could hear it. Like, I was commentating the grand finals. I paused just to let the Twitch chat kind of hear it, and you could hear it loud and clear through the mic. Just everybody crowded around at the same time for not only losers finals, winners finals, but grand finals, but just throughout. Just being able to kind of just feed off that energy is key, and it's definitely really, really, really special to see here. Now, obviously, switching over to something different for a online event, we're still kind of just stalling a little bit for time, just waiting for these teams to kind of just get in here as we gonna get our wrenches in, trying to just fix everything going on in the background. But so pleased to have you guys here on Splatoon Tourney 4. After this match, I believe this will be the end for Splatoon Tourney 4's coverage. Will be rating, I believe, the main stream over there to kind of just take a look at the rest of how the matches are going through. But yes, yet again, a lot on the line for this, as one of these teams' runs will end here.
Yeah, indeed. As we get farther into the set, there will be fewer and fewer streams going on because there are going to be more and more teams eliminated, as is the case with these games and whatnot. But still waiting on things to get set up for both of these teams. I'm not sure how much of this is internet problems, for whether, you know, various people playing. We've all watched, and I'm sure played in plenty of online tourneys where it's like, oh, the internet, it's having some difficulties. My team calls it the Nintendencies, when we have sudden DCs, or like people can't find a room. We're like, oh, we're having a Nintendency.
Yeah. Yes, and I believe we'll be taking a look at a stream, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the question. When was the last time you've had to see a 30-second checkpoint clearing crab like Rainmaker? Feels like it's been a while for the most part, but I feel like it also encapsulates like Ziku got kicked out as a whole.
Here's another one.
But okay, so we're just gonna write all the checkpoints off in an email. It's just and now both teams are realizing maybe we'd want to go back to Splatoon 2 at the end of the day. So that was a pretty cool breakaway though. All things who got kicked out overall. As we go over to Splatoon 22 because there's also the game this match that is playing out here, and it's and welcome to Mommy Ruined Zones for this one, and that's that's New England versus Gatorland, which is basically My Little Henlo and Z tier players. What we're seeing right now.
Yeah, the battle of the East Coasts going on right here. You have Atlantic North versus Atlantic South, as these two teams are going at it with a pretty a soft early lead there from Z tier players, but now My Little Henlo's in a much better position. We have our third game getting started too. Prickly Pear versus Glub Glub. They're going to be starting on game 1 here. Again, Zones Umami as they get situated too. So a lot of action still progressing here as we get our day as we get round 2 started here. Waiting on our day's been started. Our day's been long started.
You know what's funny, Falco? You know what's funny, Falco? I felt like that sounded like you mentioned the NFL red zone vibes. I almost felt like you wanted to say like the 7 hours of
7 hours.
7 hours there. And
7 hours of commercial free Splatoon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, essentially that's what it is. But
I mean,
hopefully not 7 hours.
You have like the 3 games that are all playing out right now. Which, by the way, Splatoon 32 is about to go final here in just a few quick moments because it's My Little Henlo that will get the cap to wrap up game 1. So that game enters into the intermission. Going over to I believe Splatoon 21. Actually, I think we're gonna have another game that's about to be up. Nope, I lied. It is just the Splatoon 21 and Splatoon 23 that will have games available. But that was a great start, by the way, for Gatorland to start right away. We're back here in this double setup. We joined in on the wipeout that happened in progress in Splatoon 23. I think that was Siku got kicked out that got the wipeout as well.
Yeah, it was. And right now, okay.
Or wait, or the receiving end of the wipeout. Sorry.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. I will be interested to see if they are going to actually pull out the bamboo for this or pick out a different weapon. I know I saw a couple other options. I think maybe even a custom Explo. But really just a lot of chip damage coming out. I think we're going to see from top. No voice allowed. We'll have to wait and see what they're bringing out. See if they can handle just the frazzle Tetras coming at their faces
for
all
sure.
of
Now
the time.
the long-awaited matchup here. We do see, I believe, Googladoolies here. Very uncommon weapon, but very strong. And we do see the very, very funny comp coming out here. Double Tetra Dualies, both running Reef Sliders, so that's going to be really, really dangerous for No Boys Allowed to try to contest here. But I do like the choice of the Googladoolies. I basically kind of compare them to the 52 gal of Dualies here. You do see Clover kind of caught in a difficult position on that junior here. The hammer being thrown out. Managing to find Ali there. Really nicely done. Now shutting down one of the Tetra Dualies. And No Boys Allowed off to a great start here with strong control of the zone. But those killer whales are dangerous for the bamboo.
Oh, I know. You get that constant chip damage from the killer whales, and then you have the rest of the team, especially those 2 Tetras, or even just like a couple stray shots from the junior or an indirect bomb being able to take you out after you've already been weakened by the whale. We see a lot of people going back and forth. awk-taw-puh-dees player jumping out, having to give up possession of that zone to No Boys Allowed. And the Glugas are back in. Everybody is setting up for a stronghold here. Strongholds are the name of the game on Mahi zones, and now that that cooler is out, you know that the rest of the team can go in and take these fights, know that they can jump out at light speeds, and also come back in with their specials if they do happen to go down.
Yes, but now with the water level being dropped, you have Clover on this right side with the Junior. There goes that Reef Slider from Ali managing to get control of that zone here. Not a lot of penalty to really work through if you're on the side of Awk. Now moving forward, Cammy on this other Tetra Dualies now threatening the right side. Oh, hammered down though from the top rope. Manages to take them out, and now 3 members in total actually from Awk will fall off. Now No Boys Allowed with a quick retake now with control of the zone. They can continue to try to extend that lead. Still now with 15 penalty left, not really a lot in the grand scheme of things, as actually the bamboo goes down from Awk. Now a great opportunity for No Boys Allowed to kind of hold this because of the staggering players.
Yeah, like we said, here's the stronghold coming from No Boys Allowed. They're setting up, making sure that they have these really key positions, forcing awk-taw-puh-dees to burn through specials. You know, thing about Tetras is that they die a lot. It can be hard to have a lot of uptime on these Tetras if you're not able to stay alive like you can. Typically, that's why you run a lot of quick respawn and you have only one of them. But man, we saw just they were not able to get in on that. No Boys Allowed having the strongest hold, going from what? I think they were on 40 some points all the way down to 0 in a single hold.
Yes, very impressive from them, and I think more impressively as well, being able to kind of paint over those double reefs. I mean, you kind of saw one after the other being invested by Awk, but not really going to find that much value because No Boys Allowed were able to kind of hold firm, each individually holding their own specific section of the map. I mean, you saw them kind of covering all angles, really preventing any sneaky dualies kind of just sneaking through, managing to kind of hold firm, painting over those reefs, like I said. And if this is Awk's main comp, they just have to kind of go back to the drawing board in terms of trying to execute there, because No Boys Allowed a very strong team. Looking across from them now, looking at game 2, we'll be looking at Crab Lake Capital Rainmaker, a map that is very notorious for its key quirk being the grates.
Those grates will be interesting to see how both teams deal with them. I will say playing dualies does mean you can get across those grates really fast, be able to roll across them instead of feeling like you're going to take 5 business days to walk across them and whatnot. But a lot of teams do try to push forward on that left check and then jump onto that enemy plat. That way they don't have to go through the grates, but it really feels like you have to commit a ton of resources to that. But if you are able to pull that off, I think it works so well. But again, Crab Leg, I'll be interested to see if Clef pulls out the Splat dualies on this. Who would have known? A map called Crab Leg, really great for crab tanks.
Yeah, for sure. Setting themselves up on those grates can kind of be a little bit of a double-edged sword, though, because all it takes is a little bit of walk under the grates, bomb from behind, and the crab is no more. Kind of similarly to dealing with reef sliders here. I mean, you get a reef, you get stuck on the grates, you have a reef slider incoming, you might as well just put down the controller and wait about 4 seconds till spawning there. Not really a lot of space to kind of really work with. But I mean, the most common path for taking the Rainmaker is going to be, of course, that left side here. I have seen a fair bit of players take the right side, but really kind of being able to work with that is going to be key. Just kind of working around the quirk of this map. I'm sure both these teams know it all too well, but we're just going to jump straight into a game 2. Will No Boys Allowed kind of extend that lead, or will Awk kind of be able to bounce back?
We do have the double dualies again from awk-taw-puh-dees, but one of these is gonna be the light tetras in Kami's hands. Ali's still on those dark tetras here. We've got the Glooga still over in Nico's hands on No Boys Allowed. Already a lot of paint going down. Clover is so fast with that junior, and you really love to see. You kind of have to when you're running a weapon like that. Already taking it to that right side over those grates, trying to dodge both the pencil shots and that hammer, able to do so thanks to the rest of the team drawing aggro away, just really letting that check happen on its own. And that is going to pop over in the purple side. No Boys Allowed trying to hold that down. Kami going wild on the Tetra dualies with that Sipgaster, creating a huge disturbance. Things are looking pretty good for awk-taw-puh-dees. They're able to grab it, but they're just not really able to push it that far at this point.
Ooh, Cammy almost managing to fall off there. It did look, okay, no, they did fall off. It looked a little bit weird there, but managing to still stay alive. Chaischolz and Awk just continuously moving forward here. Cammy knocks it down all the way to 27. This push has been really, really great for Awk, and it doesn't look like it has any signs of slowing down. Maybe Clover can make something happen. Managing to get the pick there as Leodis just tries to hold firm. Unfortunately, now members from Awk just falling left and right, but I mean, first minute and 20, and this push has proven to be very, very good for awk-taw-puh-dees, and now they just keep to go in. They keep going, moving forward here. Helix actually managing to find two, maybe a third. A nice hammer thrown as well will shut down that push. Finally, Bouillabaisse, finally, No Boys Allowed kind of hunkers down, but I mean, damage has been done.
It has. They are, fortunately for them, able to get that checkpoint. UT trying to go in, create some space, had that pencil ready. People are grabbing this from Maker. They're moving it forward. They want to get the lead here, and they are so close to doing so. Able to just barely, by one step, get that lead, taking it to 22. But so many people went down on No Boys Allowed.
That push initially by Ox, I thought was gonna take a monumentous effort for No Boys Allowed to get back, but they just said, all right, let's just run it up mid, and really no member of Ock was able to kind of get there in time. You see Clover unfortunately going down, so now the push and counterattack will kind of be stalled out. Helix just kind of lurking here, waiting for an opportunity to strike, potentially manages to get the shark onto the bamboo, and now to the victors go the spoils. Potentially a jumping Kim. No, the dualies will manage to find his escape route, but Helix doing a lot of work, at least drawing attention, draws three members of Awk towards them. They will go down, yes, but Crab being invested now in mid by No Boys Allowed, excuse me, yes, by, what is it? No, we have our colors inverted. Okay, it is
Yeah, we do.
by No Boys Allowed on that orange, excuse me, as now Clover on the side of awk-taw-puh-dees tries to hold firm, unfortunately goes down there, and now being forced back, sent to spawn, they have to reset.
They do. No Boys Allowed holding it down at this point. They have an extremely narrow lead, but you know that awk-taw-puh-dees are going to have to push it all the way back to 21. Able to get a good pick on that junior with that special, but too many people are going down on awk-taw-puh-dees. No Boys Allowed holding down the grates. The drinks are being thrown out. Pencil sees the Chicago team trying to push in here. They know they can just hold at this point. They can't let their guards down, but we did say it was going to be a monumental task to be able to beat that 23 score, but it's going to be a monumental task to beat that 22 score, but it can be done. We did just watch the lead flip a little bit earlier.
Yes, and I feel like a major part of that has to be from Clover's bubble. That bubble can provide so much space to really work with, especially kind of working up the grades. You kind of just see Nico dancing, just dancing there in the corner there, just trying to stay alive. Unfortunately, did see them go down. Now less than a minute to really work with from awk-taw-puh-dees to kind of just move forward. You do see the hammer being invested by Helix, just trying to dare any member of awk-taw-puh-dees to just kind of move forward. You see now still trying to fight down there is the Googler Dualies. Now the Rainmaker still kind of left on an island in mid, not really able to move forward. Unfortunately is taken out now, so now another wrench thrown into the plans on awk-taw-puh-dees to try to retake this. 25 seconds left to get something going.
Helix has been so aggressive on this mini. I really, really love to see it. Mini's got the tools, especially with that hammer buff, to play so aggressively and to create some openings for the rest of the team for No Boys Allowed. They know they just need to be able to hold here. We've got awk-taw-puh-dees. They're trying to get in here, but people are going down. There's not much time left. That is a wipeout.
That is a wipeout and will be the final nail in the coffin there for game 2, as No Boys Allowed hold a very strong 2-game lead now. awk-taw-puh-dees had a very strong initial push there all the way down to, I believe, 28, but unfortunately was just too much of a counterattack for No Boys Allowed for Bouillabaisse, as now 1 game away potentially from Chaischolz team. awk-taw-puh-dees being knocked out of the tournament here. We'll just have to wait and see if they can bounce back.
Games finally in progress at the same time once again from the very start of the tournament. We love to see it. We know you guys can't read or see anything on the maps. We just like to show this scene that it actually exists. Let's focus on the game that is closest to ending. I believe that's SplatoonTourney 4 with about a minute 30 remaining on the clock there for No Boys Allowed and awk-taw-puh-dees. Again,
Look at
this
the
is a
score.
1-point game here with the Rainmaker near mid. So awk-taw-puh-dees in the driver. No, they're not in the driver's seat. They are the ones who are down right now. And they don't have the Rainmaker, so a lot that they need to overcome here in this last minute. They're going to want to try and coordinate some of these specials wisely and push them as well. Let's take a look at SplatoonTourney 2, as it looks like My Little Henlo's in near knockout position. Can they do it? Getting to 11? No, not.
And we're back here on Splatoon Tourney 4. Teams for our No Boys Allowed versus awk-taw-puh-dees match are selecting weapons at this point. We just wanted to show y'all how things are going in the rest of this giant tournament happening right now. We've got the 2-0 for My Little Henlo over Z-tier players at this point, and Prickly Pear going 2-0 over Glub Glub right now over in that winners bracket. Things are looking mighty close over on C Bubble versus Siku got kicked out. And it looks like bracket has now updated a 3-0 victory for both My Little Henlo and Prickly Pear. They will be moving on still through the winner side of the bracket. Glub Glub and Z-tier both kicked down to the losers bracket. So things will be transitioning over to them after our own sets are finished here in round 1 of losers. No Boys Allowed at that match point. C Bubble at their own match point. Going into our third game in this set, Tower Control Ship Shape.
Tower Control Ship Shape, a very interesting map mode, all things considered. Most notoriously known for the distance between control map, if I'm not so mistaken. So I believe no changes will be made from either side, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, you do see the return of the Googler Dualies. You do see the very, very aggressive helix on that mini there with the burst bomb and hammer, like you mentioned in that previous one. Let's see who gets that first blood. It will actually be in the favor of awk-taw-puh-dees and really just trying to move in here. You see Ali trying to go in, managing to get the pick onto the pen, as well as doing what Tetris Dualies do, managing to cancel out the crab as well. Really nice flank. Could find more, as 3 fall in total, as awk-taw-puh-dees will continue to move
They
forward.
had a really great opening. We're half a minute into this. They are through their first checkpoint, having only one more checkpoint to get through. This is such a snowballing map mode. Ali, unfortunately, that Reef Slider is gonna get canceled. That lag, just the latency you have to sit through on the Reef Slider, gonna take them down. But it did create a lot of time for Clover to keep running that tower forward. Took it all the way to 28. Not a score that you can be content on for this map mode, but still an extremely, extremely good first push.
Great push nonetheless, but I mean, you kind of remind yourself what happened in the previous one. awk-taw-puh-dees had a great push, but No Boys Allowed had an even better one. Now, forced on the back foot, you have 3 players down for awk-taw-puh-dees in total, just left to... Oh, a nice pick from Leodis on that bamboo. Another one as well, showing they have some nice mechanical skill with the aim on that. Now the whale being put onto the tower. Now Booyah Bomb also being invested as well, but awk-taw-puh-dees still trying to hold firm.
They are doing their best to hold it down. awk-taw-puh-dees is gonna lose 2 people at that point. They still have that bubble up available. Ali trying to make use of it, but the hammer coming in. Helix absolutely crushes them under the force of that hammer, throws it and gets another kill. Takes out Clover. Helix still pushing forward, creating space for the rest of No Boys Allowed, making sure that they get through that first checkpoint. Like I said, that 28-point lead for awk-taw-puh-dees is not necessarily safe on this map mode. You see they're already moving towards it. Beauty just dodging that splat bomb like it's nothing, just casually walking to the side here. But everybody's near this tower. They want to make sure they're clearing space, and they do so with that Booyah Bomb. The hammer coming out, not being able to secure that splat, but did do some damage. Ali doing their best. They were able to hold that to 29, meaning awk-taw-puh-dees does still have the lead here, and multiple people gonna go down on No Boys Allowed.
And now you have a feeling a little bit of deja vu. However, this time awk-taw-puh-dees in the lead here now. Strong defense nonetheless. However, both sides still have to cross that long distance if they want to get any more points onto the board, but of course that will benefit awk-taw-puh-dees as they don't really have to make another push. However, no boys allowed, kind of pushing the issue here. 2-player down situation as Cammy tries to lurk here. Ali will jump to them, unfortunately, kind of giving away their spot, but still will provide them a little bit more backup here, trying to fight Nico. They do go down to just the crossfire of the double Tetras. Helix manages to get the pick onto Cammy there, and with 3 players down on the side of awk-taw-puh-dees, they are forced back into a difficult situation. A difficult hold will await them.
Ali on these Tetradulies trying to make something happen, knowing that that lead is threatened again. The rest of the team converging like a little murder ball over onto that tower location, but Leonidas is gonna get taken down. Clover doing their best with the Tetras staying alive, but the hammer, it gets popped, but it gets taken out. Still a lot of mid control for awk-taw-puh-dees trying to hold this down. That's gonna be the name of the game for the next minute 20 seconds. Control mid. There's going to be a lot of things changing back and forth. This is not a large map mode. The Reef Slider comes out, but so many good plays happening here. Multiple people going down. No boys allowed. Trying to hold this at bay.
Now with nearing a minute left, you do have awk-taw-puh-dees just trying to force the issue here, at least trying to put as much distance from the tower from their own side as they can. You see Nico trying to go in with these Googleadoys will be taken out, quickly traded out. Now 50 seconds left, not a lot of time for No Boys Allowed to try to really operate. The crab was invested, yes, but Helix will manage to find at least an opening pick onto Ali. Now 2 players in total for awk-taw-puh-dees being forced back, and now you kind of just want to play keep away. You don't want to get too aggressive. You're on the side of awk-taw-puh-dees to try to hold firm here. You do have some specials to really try to end this here, but you want to just play for them. You do have Helix now potentially throwing this hammer here. Won't find much value, but now it is do or die time for No Boys Allowed if they want any chance left in this match.
It is. Even though want to make sure that we're being aggressive carefully, but aggression is the name of the game. When you have 2 Tetradulies, Ali going in, getting the picks necessary. They are going to lose their anchor with that bamboo, but they will be coming back. They still have a stronghold on this tower. That bubble is going to make sure that they hold on to it, and they are still in it to win.
And if this set could easily be 2-1 in the other direction. Remember, in game 2, how close that was for awk-taw-puh-dees to potentially take this one. So despite them being down 1-2, they go the other way. It could easily be changed out. So you just gotta appreciate how close these matches have been, how great these players are, and mistakes are amplified to the highest degree in these situations. But speaking of the next match, we'll be looking at Bronco Dime Clams as our next one. Another very flat landed area. We'll be seeing the return of double Reef Slider Tetra. We'll just have to wait and see, but I do like the change that they initially had to the Zipcaster Tetradulies, but still holding on to one of the Reef Sliders to kind of just combine together to use those specials as well.
Yeah, they're both interesting specials. The Zipcaster has never been a special that I've been able to make work very well in Tetras for me as purely, just being not very good at Zipcaster, but it can be so good working with the Tetris style of drawing attention, just trying to get eyes on you, pull aggro away from a situation, or even to you, knowing that you have teammates set up ready for a pinch situation, being able to take them out while they're looking at you, looking away from everybody else pointing the guns at them and whatnot. So it can be really good for awk-taw-puh-dees. They're taking some more time to select their weapons from what we're seeing. So I'm sure they're talking things out. They want to make sure they get this game 5 sweep. I've seen chat calling for the game 5. They want to make sure they, even if they want to tie this up 2-2. If you are awk-taw-puh-dees, Rocket, what are you thinking going into this game? You
just gotta take it one game at a time.
One?
You gotta take it one push and one moment at a time. You cannot afford to panic. You cannot afford to get too overly staggered, because I mean that's what lost them that game too. Unfortunately, there was just not a lot of players in front of the Rainmaker here. But now moving over to game 4, game 3, we saw them really play to their strengths a lot more, playing together, really holding firm at the defense here. Will they change things up on game 4? Or at least I'm thinking not for
They did this on purpose.
A very hard name to say. I will continuously be tortured by this name. awk-taw-puh-dees, very, very hard to say, but they will remain firm. Both teams actually remaining firm in terms of their weapons, but a player I'll definitely keep my eye on is Helix yet again. They have been very, very dangerous close up and personal with that mini splat lane, but with Hammer as well on a very flat map could provide a lot of dangerous
Nobody going down just yet. I'm just waiting for commentators curse to kick in for somebody to go down here, but see a lot of paint going back and forth, people trying to get the picks in, but we do get a Hammer pick in on one of those Tetras. We do indeed have one dark Tetra, one light Tetra on the side of awk-taw-puh-dees. We're still not even a minute into this game. Clam Blitz for the first minute. Ooh, but a lot of people going down there. The thing is about like the beginning of Clam Blitz is that there aren't necessarily a whole lot of clams on the field to pick up and go in for a score yet. So sometimes we'll see things over in a stall for quite a while before anybody goes in for a big, big push.
For sure, you do see 3 members of No Boys Allowed actually drawing attention to the left side, which will provide awk-taw-puh-dees a little bit of an opportunity to move forward. Cammy on those Tetra dualies does have Zipcaster available to maybe try to draw away attention, but at this point, just trying to stay alive. There is the Zipcaster. Managing to cancel out a Hammer, a very rare opportunity there will present itself for now. awk-taw-puh-dees really now an opportunity to try to retake this control of mid. You see a lot of purple paint now being invested here to really just try to take control of this plat on the other side of the pen. Yoti, I believe, just trying to hold firm, but the Crab, so dangerous. I believe finding 2 picks, maybe being able to find more, shredding that bubble immediately and finding Cammy. That is 3 in total. Really nicely done there, as now No Boys Allowed have a great opportunity to push forward now with plat secured.
They do, and they already know that there was a flank coming in. They call it out, but no, the Glugas are going to go down there. We got dualies going down on both sides. We are 2 minutes in. Nobody has scored yet. Both teams trying to set up for a really, really big score here. You want to make sure that when you're popping that basket open, you're throwing in as many clams as you can. Barnacle is such a stall fest for the longest time, but with that crab tank being popped, we're creating space, able to throw in 1 power clam here. No Boys Allowed wants to get in more, but it's going to be awfully tough. They don't have a whole lot of control down by that basket anymore. They are able to get some more points in, which is huge for them, but they're going to have to give up some space here, knowing that they're halfway through. They do have 2 points on the board, down to 60, which means when the other team goes in, makes their push, they're going to have to throw in not only 2 power clams, but another clam to take that lead.
You see Helix here right on your screen, completely behind, unaware. awk-taw-puh-dees unaware of Helix's presence. However, players will go down. Will this flank find anything? They will find one onto Clover there. The Jaws theme finally finds its strike, managing to find another as well, potentially a third here onto Ali if they're able to win this fight. Yes, they will find a third there. A little bit of delay, a full team wipeout there for Helix. Really nicely done on the flank. And although it was a little bit delayed there, it was a wipeout nonetheless. Now opening things up for No Boys Allowed to move in. So patient, striking when the time was right. And now the victors get the spoils, moving in. Another 2-player down situation for awk-taw-puh-dees here, as now No Boys Allowed will threaten yet another push.
They will. They want to keep threatening these pushes. It's a small lead differential at this point. They do have the power clam at the ready. Fortunately for them, they only let in 1 power clam when they were defending their basket, which is going to be really, really big for them. Then Junior is going to go down on the side of awk-taw-puh-dees. The Reef Slider's ready, but they're going to throw in a power clam. That's some more points on the board, or rather just penalty points cleared and whatnot. Now we've got points going on the board, but we also have people going down, and No Boys Allowed. awk-taw-puh-dees is running into mid at this point, knowing that they can do so, having taken out some people. Ali creating some space with these Tetra dualies. The dualies are having a battle. The Dark Tetras do reign supreme here, dancing circles around those Glugas. Ali still holding things down here. It is so interesting to see dualies here, because I often find on Tetras, when I've played them on Clam Blitz, it is so hard to play the objective with it, because it feels like all I'm doing is just trying to feed to win and create opportunities for the rest of my team, and it's hard to feel like you can hold clams and whatnot, but really, really good job from all of the dualies players in this lobby, knowing when to take those fights.
As time ticks down, though, the time is ticking down for awk-taw-puh-dees to try to make this one comeback here, as now overtime will loom. No Boys Allowed can kind of just sit back and relax here on their own plat. It is awk-taw-puh-dees time to try to make a move here. You do have 2 balls in the possession of them, one in the hands of Clover, the other one is the pity, will remain firm. You will have a Reef Slider and Bubble to invest here, and Bouillabaisse is, and the rest of NBA, no boys allowed, just kind of waiting for that to strike. You do see one of the balls make its way into the basket, but 2 remain on the floor. They're unable to be picked up. Clover desperately runs towards it. Unfortunately, the members of awk-taw-puh-dees just rush straight into the line of fire of a crab, and just too little too late. No boys allowed. Coming out and representing, managing to take the 3-1 over awk-taw-puh-dees.
No boys allowed will be moving in now that they've clutched up this set. This is the end for awk-taw-puh-dees for the LAN Championship Showdown, showing us a really, really interesting off-meta comp with those double dualies and that bamboo. Super fun to watch, but I think just got panicked there at the end, knew that they had to throw themselves into the fray. Unfortunately, it just did not work out in their favor.
Yes, GG's to them. No boys allowed. Bouillabaisse will be moving on to face Glub Glub, who we just saw earlier get the 3-1 over Sea Bubble. Yes, but ended up getting knocked down here. Speaking of Sea Bubble, though, they get the 3-1 over Siku, got kicked out. That is H-Town Splashdown's last run there. Unfortunate for them. Hurts a little bit, but we move on. We go on, and now Sea Bubble will be facing against Z-tier players. Both C-tier players and Glub Glove have been sitting here patiently for those matchups, so we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. But at least for us, Rose, I believe that'll be the end for our coverage here at SplatoonTourney number 4.
Yeah, SplatoonTourney 4 going back to taking a nap. Games will be continuing on in the other SplatoonTourney channels that are currently live. I believe we will be raiding over on SplatoonTourney in a moment here when we are ready to head out. A pleasure to commentate the very, very first National LAN Championship Showdown. I really cannot say like how much work has been put into this from all of the people involved. Huge number of commentators who are super goated commentators all involved in this. JPEG doing so much for this, Falco doing so much for this, JPEG doing so much for this, and so many other people we don't have time to shout out, but huge thank you to everybody involved in this. I'm Rose of Battle. You can find me at all of my various socials. We're done with Twitter now. From Blue Sky at Rose of Battle, Twitch and YouTube, both Rose of Battle. Where can people find you, Rocket?
Able to at least show you the rest of this set, the rest of these sets. Really nicely done there. Much love to Saf, and kind of like you mentioned, kind of echoing what you said, massive shout out to all the organization heads, everyone here, all the streamers here. We got a bunch of streamers, commentators coming at you from 5 different live streams, which is still impressive to say. I mean, it's never before seen, at least from what I can recall here, but yes, that will be the end for us here. We'll be sending you over to the mainstream, so if there's nothing else to be said, thank you all for watching, and get ready for the continuation of the LAN Championship Showdown, because it's only heating up.
There's still so much more to happen. We've got a bunch more amazing Splatoon coming your way. Make sure to stay tuned to all of the SplatoonTourney channels currently live, broadcasting more and more for the rest of tonight, figuring out who will end up on top and represent at least the US, just to figure out who is really who's the #1 LAN team here. Again, that'll be it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your Sunday, and best of luck to all the competitors still in it.